Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas. And I am continuing the series I started a little while ago, talking about my 100 favorite movies of the 21st century, basically the first 25 years of the 21st century, 2000, 2024. What are 100 best movies? I already did 100 through 51, so I'm going to cover 50 through 26 on this video. So let's start with number 50, 50th favorite movie. And that goes to Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I've always been a big fan of this story. There was a BBC TV version when I was a kid that I had taped. And I used to watch the heck out of that. There was also like a cartoon version when I was a kid that I used to watch as well. And it wasn't until later that I actually read the book, the source material from C.S. Lewis. And yeah, I've always been a big fan of this. And then I was so happy when they made the live action movie. It was a great time because Lord of the Rings was huge. So fantasy was, Harry Potter was out there. Fantasy stories were really big at this time, or really getting big. And I think because special effects were getting to a point where we can do fantasy very well. And so this really belongs in that really good fantasy style anyways. And yeah, it's just a great story. I think they did a really great job with it. Aslan, man, what a great character. The death scene, spoilers, the death scene kind of resembles Jesus Christ's his crucifixion in a way, and how that all plays out. And that always definitely makes me teary-eyed every time I see that scene. So I think, and C.S. Lewis was a Christian writer, so it makes sense to kind of, make that analogy there, or, that similarity there. Also, I'm not going to remember her name, but the actress who played the White Witch, man, was she good. That was a perfect villain. Maybe one of the best villains I think I've ever seen. Very cold and scary, and should have been nominated for an Oscar. I think it was such a good role, and for that actress anyways. Yeah, great fantasy story with some great action scenes as well. It's a great special effects, different creatures and stuff that come throughout, and just really likable story that it's told so well, and great ending to it, and just great characters anyway. So yeah, Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. Number 49, have The Wild Robot, which is a more recent one. It came out a couple years ago, and has shot up as one of my favorite animated movies I've seen in a while. DreamWorks. It's one of the best DreamWorks animated movies I've ever seen. About a robot that gets stranded on an island of animals, and it's supposed to be serving humans, but there's no humans on this island. So he kind of learns to help the animals, and then he kind of raises this duckling to more not adult, but to kind of raises it anyways, and the kind of learns to be like a mother to this duckling or whatever, and the dynamic there was great. A lot of great characters here. I like the fox character, the friend there, and it's very funny, but yet the relationships are very well done, where you kind of really feel for them and what they're going through. I mean, there's a lot of good dramatic moments as well. So just a really good written story, some great animation. Yeah, another really great ending to a story that just, another heartwarming story. I think done very well here with The Wild Robot. Number 48, I have Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg movie. Now one of my favorite Spielberg movies, actually. I don't know if I feel like it's not talked about as much. And maybe I'm the only one that loves it as much as I do. This is from a book, the adaptation, whatever, but man, the special effects are amazing. Like some of the best special effects I've ever seen in a movie. Just not the quality, but the quantity. There's just so many things happening all the time on the screen that I'm always marveled when I watch it and go, how did they do this? The race scene, the beginning of the movie, they do this whole race thing, and there's King Kong and all these other things, and what I love about it is the nerd in me loves the nerd kind of references throughout the movie. There are a lot of 80s references. I just love that whole scene because he's in the DeLorean. There's, maybe a Ghostbusters car, and I forget. There's different cars from different movies are in the race. I love all the movie references as a movie fan. I love that. I just loved it. I love all those references that go throughout. But it's a really cool sci-fi story of a future where you go into this gaming world called the Oasis. And you become somebody else, and kind of that you always love the idea, fantasy idea of becoming someone else, creating your own character, and getting to live out a different life, in this Oasis. But yeah, it's just brilliantly written and just incredible. All the effects moments are just so incredible, and the characters are great. It's funny, action packed, and a surprisingly ending you don't know what's going to happen, and when it happens, you're like, oh my god, like I didn't see that coming. So yeah, really great stuff. Spielberg still on top of his game with this one. At 47, X-Men 2, one of my favorite superhero movies, comic book movies, I guess. My favorite X-Men movie for sure, and I was a big X-Men fan as a kid. Loved watching the cartoon series, used to read the comic books. Wolverine's definitely like one of my top. I was Wolverine for Halloween when I was a kid. Wolverine's like, top 5, favorite superhero or whatever you want to call it. And the first one was good. Second one, man, really great. Bryan Singer, it feels like they gave him the budget on the second movie to go do whatever he wanted. The first movie was a hit, and he just came up with a really great story for X-Men. Of course, Hugh Jackman, so good as Wolverine, coming back here. Yeah, I love the whole story behind, his backstory of how he got the adamantium, whatever. And then how that plays out with Stryker or whatever, who's kind of the villain of the story. Yeah, you just get a lot of great action sequences here throughout the movie. I love the Stryker and I forget the female like Wolverine. That whole fight scene's really good. I love the use of Magneto here, and yeah, what they do with him is kind of helping the good guys. He's kind of this gray area. He's a villain, yet there's a villain that hates mutants, so he's helping the other mutants up against this Stryker guy. Yeah, so it's just a really great overall plot for a superhero film. And it's like, if you love the X-Men characters, this movie's so good. And there's just so many great, memorable scenes. Nightcrawler, man, I love Nightcrawler. In fact, that first scene where Nightcrawler gets into the White House, what an incredible scene. That starts the movie. It gets you on the right. We're like, oh my gosh. Nightcrawler is such a great character, and I love what they did with that character. So, yeah, it's one of the best, I think, comic book movies, X-Men 2. At 46, I have Finding Nemo, one of my favorite Pixar movies, anime movies of all time. This one dealing with fish in the sea. It's a great father-son story. The father's overprotective of the son, Nemo. Nemo gets kidnapped, basically, and then he goes on this grand venture to go find his son, which seems impossible, but he does. Pixar is just so amazing at this point. I mean, animation's great, of course. The character is amazing. So many characters in here. My favorite has always been, Dory. Ellen DeGeneres is playing Dory. Definitely a fun character who has short-term memory loss, and just hilarious stuff goes on there. Yeah, it's just great voice acting overall. And again, a nice, lovely story between the father and son part. The father learning to, not be so overbearing, I guess, and all that. And the son learning that his father really loves him anyways. So, Pixar, great storytelling again. Great animation, very fun. Yeah, another really great one from them. All right, number 45, I have How to Train Your Dragon. Another DreamWorks movie. I think this might be my highest DreamWorks movie. I think this is my favorite of the DreamWorks, and there's so many good DreamWorks movies that have been on the list. But yeah, I love the story of this, this it's kind of Scottish Vikings fighting dragons, and it's been a rivalry. It's been this thing that's happened over generations, and they just can't stop this violence. And yet, Hiccup, this character who's not very manly, the son of the chief, kind of learns that, hey, why are we killing dragons? What have they really done to us? What if we worked along with the dragons? Like, we only fight the dragons because that's what we're told we're supposed to do, and we don't really look. I don't know. I just love that storytelling of that idea. I think it's a great premise of the story. Of maybe if we just talk it out, we find out that we actually have more in common than we think, and we don't have to kill each other. I love that whole concept of that idea. And then just Toothless is such a great character, the dragon, Nightwing dragon that he gets to fly, and how that relationship starts and how it kind of grows into a real friendship, kind of. Really well done. And the animation again, oh man, it's so amazing. So many great shots. Musical score also, John Powell's musical score, one of my favorite musical scores of all time. The flying scenes are just out of this world great. Like, that's one of the greatest moments I've ever had in the movie theater. Watching that movie in 3D while they're flying, it's like it felt like you're flying. It was just so amazing. And the musical score over it, it was just epic. And yeah, so you have those amazing scenes like that, really well shot. The last scene against the huge dragon that he has to fight, oh my gosh, amazing animation work there, and the way that was shot and how that all turned out. And it's another one's just, it's very funny. The action scenes are really good. And it also has a good father-son story too. I do love a good father-son story, I guess. And I thought they did a really good job with that as well. So it had some emotional moments as well. Yeah, really great movie. How to Train Your Dragon here at 45. At 44, I have a Complete Unknown. This movie just came out, I think, 2 years ago maybe. It was my favorite movie of the year. Barely beat out Wild Robot. Actually, was my second favorite movie of the year. So really good animation and really good biopic. My favorite biopic of all time now. Of course, if you know, Complete Unknown's about Bob Dylan, Timothée Chalamet. Incredible performance. Should have won the Oscar. He looked and sounded just like Bob Dylan. Did all the singing and playing guitar as well. But yeah, it kind of just goes through Bob Dylan, how he kind of changed music. And I think it was a really important time period, the mid-60s, that he came in, early 60s, and then kind of took on folk music and then changed into more folk rock with the introducing electric guitar, which was controversial for folk music, but made some great songs with it. And yeah, I love seeing his kind of his journey from an unknown, as it's called, Complete Unknown. Goes from a complete unknown to being one of the most famous singer-songwriters of all time. And yeah, they do such a great job with that. Great performances. Yeah, the singing, the musical moments. I'm not like the biggest Bob Dylan fan, but I'm a big enough fan of especially the early 60s or the mid 60s work, that I really loved the performances. I thought were so well done. And the sound quality was so good. And I remember this got nominated for Best Sound, and I was like, yeah. When they sang, it sounded like you were really hearing like them in concert. Bob Dylan, like Joan Baez, when they were singing and all that. Anyway, so yeah, incredible biopic about a very important time period of music, I think. So that's why it's there at number 44 on the list. At number 43, we have Moana, another great Disney movie. I'm doing the DreamWorks, Pixar, Disney animation. Love a great animation movie. And there's been some really great ones in this last 25 years, whatever, I have on this. But Moana, another great musical animation movie. In fact, they're doing a live action this year as well. It's like Tangled, Frozen, and Moana. Just, to me, those three, they just perfectly, kind of recreated the early 90s musical so well when we had some of the biggest hits like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King. It's like, man, we just had one banger after another. And this is almost kind of another revival of Disney, going back to the musicals. And I absolutely love it. Love it when they do that. And yeah, the music is amazing. I mean, the Moana song, my favorite is probably You're Welcome. It's funny, but yeah, it's super catchy. But yeah, the music is really, really well done. And it's overall a really great story that's very funny. Has a little bit of fantasy element to it. Love Maui, played by Dwayne Johnson, another absolutely great Disney character. Provides some of the best moments. And again, a good relationship between Moana and Maui, which is a little strained at first, but then they become friends at the end. And yeah, just another really great Disney musical movie. And won't be the last one I'll talk about on this list, in fact. All right, 42, we're going to Toy Story 4. This might be a little surprising. I absolutely love Toy Story 4. It's so hard. All four Toy Stories are so good. And this one kind of gets left behind because a lot of people thought it should have ended at 3 because 3 had a great ending. And a lot of people don't think they ever should have made 4. And now we're getting Toy Story 5 this year, so we'll see what happens. We thought 3 was the end, and then 4 came out, so I was like, oh, why didn't they just end with 3? Now 5's coming out, so now people are going, oh, it shouldn't end at 4. I don't know. If they make a good movie, keep making these Toy Story movies because they've been so good. It's been the best animation franchise of all time, in my opinion. And this one is really great. Like, I think animation is amazing. The storytelling is so good, like the other movies. And the characters, obviously, the characters are so great. The premise of toys, having their own community. And I've always talked about that. Love that about all the Toy Story movies. I love the new characters of Sporky. It's such a great new character here. You get Key and Peele playing 2 characters that are very fun as well. I love Kirk Kaboom, whatever, coming in here. The Canadian Evel Knievel. All the new characters are amazing. And then the villain character has a very complex backstory that usually the villain is just this villain you hate. This time, this villain actually I felt sympathy for, and they actually had a very interesting ending to the villain that you don't usually see in a villain character. I thought was like, wow, this was like really well written and kind of emotional. So I thought there were some great emotional moments in here. It's still a lot of fun. And the ending did have me in tears a little bit with Buzz, and it felt like this was the last one. Now we're getting them back together again, so it maybe hurts it a little bit that Buzz and Woody, you think they're saying goodbye forever at the end. And that gets a little emotional because I've been with these characters since 1995 when I was 12 years old. And then now I'm 42 and still watching Toy Story movies. But yeah, underrated. Don't sleep on Toy Story 4. It did win the Oscar, in fact, for Best Animated Movie. But I feel like people don't credit enough to Toy Story 4. It's such a good movie. 41, I have Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. This is the sequel of the kind of original, or the new trilogy that they made up with Rise of the Planet of the Apes was the first one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then War of the Planet of the Apes. Rise of the Planet of the Apes I thought was decent. I thought it was a kind of cool kind of retelling of the Planet of the Apes story, which I'm a huge fan of the original Planet of the Apes from like 68 or whatever. That's such a fun story, great sci-fi element, great ending, all that. Like I said, my Tim Burton rankings, his remake of the movie was not particularly that great. But I liked what they did with this new series. And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is the best of the 3. And man, it really took me by surprise how much I really liked that movie. I mean, again, the animation is so amazing. It looked like real apes. Like, it's so crazy how good they are on this movie. Some of the best animation I've ever seen, CGI, I should say, not animation, but best CGI characters I've ever seen, with Caesar and his right-hand man who becomes evil. I'm forgetting the name of that character, but yeah. I love this, kind of sci-fi storytelling of this, like, there's almost like a post-apocalyptic thing where almost all the human beings have died from a disease, and there's still some humans left, and they're trying to, cohabitate with the apes, even though apes hate humans, and they're just trying to, keep their civilization going. And the apes are definitely very, wary of them because they used to be controlled by the humans and all that. And Caesar's trying to be a good leader and all that. But he makes this very bad mistake, which is believing this one ape who's actually very evil, but he has this thing that we're better than human beings. We're apes. We've evolved from human beings, or some, ape don't kill ape. That's one of the big rules, and that comes from the original series, in fact. But I love that he just won't, punish this one ape enough. He keeps doing bad things, and he won't punish him because he believes in this, we're better than humans, we won't hurt each other. And then the bad ape ends up trying to overthrow and trying to kill the humans, and all turns into chaos because he won't punish apes. And it's like, well, apes kind of have this bad nature too. The apes aren't better than humans. They got all the bad qualities of humans too. So I thought that was really interesting storytelling and how that all plays out. And again, the action moments are amazing. The special effects, the art direction. I mean, everything. It's such a wonderfully, visually, just a great movie. Cinematography, amazing. The apes are generally very scary at moments. The moment when the ape is on top of a horse shooting machine guns at both hands. Wow, what an image I never thought I'd see. So incredibly shot, one of the best shot movies I've seen, and I keep going back to because of how wonderfully it is to watch, just visually, and the storytelling and the acting is really good. I mean, the apes are great acting. This is like the best we've done with, I think, with motion capture acting, like to the point where like, why can't we give these motion caption actors Oscars? They are doing such a great job. All right, number 40, we have Patriots Day, starring Mark Wahlberg, based on, of course, true events of this. And I remember watching TV when this or seeing the news when this happened, and the Boston Marathon bombing, where two terrorists put a bomb at the end of the finish line, whatever, and killed like 11 people or something. I can't remember. Injured a lot of people. A lot of people had to lost limbs. Just another devastating terrorist attack in America. And yeah, made this whole movie around it with Mark Wahlberg as kind of the lead character, helping this investigation to find these two terrorists. Man, this is an incredible thriller. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. And there's moments of the movie I didn't know that happened in real life. And so I thought there was really interesting things that happened that I didn't know. And I remember when it happened, there was this great hunt for the people who did it. They scoured the cameras. I remember we're like watching the news, like this biggest manhunt we've ever seen. And in a couple of days, it felt like we figured out where they were. We caught one. We're still on the hunt for the other one, and we eventually found that person. And yeah, so man, it was a very emotional movie too. I mean, man, I cannot cry. I cannot help but cry when I watch this movie because I remember the real events. Remember, hoping that we'd catch the guys, and just the devastation of like what they did. And terrorism attacks are just so horrible when they happen, and so memorable that you never forget them. And so I thought this movie did such a great job of showcasing kind of what it felt like at the time when that happened. And just a really one of the best thrillers I've ever seen. And Mark Wahlberg gave a really great performance. I think his best performance I've ever seen from Wahlberg as well. And the fact that they show the real people at the end also makes it very emotional. So very emotional roller coaster ride of a movie with lots of thrills. Based on true stories. So yeah, great movie. Number 39, we have The Muppets. This is kind of a comeback movie for the Muppets. I'm a big Muppets fan of the original Muppet movies in the 80s, and then when they came back in the 90s with kind of the two musical adaptations. Those are really great, probably my favorite of the series. And then they went a long ways without doing a Muppet movie, and then finally they came out with this one, with Jason Segel, I think his name is, kind of writing it and starring in it with Amy Adams. Man, this is such a great movie. It's probably my second favorite of the Muppet movies. In fact, it's so good. And they really capture what's so great about the Muppets. Not only are they very funny, and they do use this great meta humor and fourth wall breaking that I love. It's very silly at times, but still very, very funny. It's kind of a simple story of just, hey, well, let's get the Muppets back together because we're going to lose the Muppet Theater, and we got to raise money. So we got to put on a show to raise money so we can keep the theater. Yeah, very common, that's been done throughout the ages. But it was just so well done by this group. What really makes it great, what really puts it all top. The story, some of the story elements don't make sense. I don't think this ending doesn't make much sense, but the music is so good. It's some of the best music I've ever seen in a Muppet movie, which is known for music. But Pictures in My Head is one of the best songs I've ever heard. I remember the first time I seen that when I saw the movie in the theater, and when they did that Pictures in My Head, I was like, wow, what a heartbreaking, haunting song that Kirk and Kermit the Frog is doing, and it's a beautifully written song, and lyrically, it's really good. It's like, I could not believe how good that song was. It wasn't even nominated for an Oscar, and I think it should have won, but I did win an Oscar for Man or Muppet, which is a really fun song too. Really well done, very funny too, kind of song, and the way they do it in the movie is great too. But even the beginning song, that they sing is really good. I forget the name of it, but man, that first song is great. Like I said, they even do a reprise of Rainbow Connection, which is amazing. And even that whole last part where they do the whole show part is great. But yeah, this is just, man, if you love the Muppets, this is such a great comeback movie for them. I love the whole getting the gang back together. Yeah, so funny, music so amazing. Really great stuff. I wish they made one more movie after this, and then they haven't made a movie in a long time. So we're due for another Muppet movie. The Muppets, it's such a great franchise. I hope Disney, I don't know what Disney's doing. They've come out with some TV stuff, but I would love to see another movie out of them. I don't know what they're doing, why they're not doing one. But yeah, the Muppets 39. Number 38, I have Batman Begins. Another one of my favorite superhero movies. And to be honest, my favorite Batman movie. This is going to be a hot take, because this is up here at 38, and Dark Knight is not on my top 100 list. I'm not a big fan of Dark Knight. I'm not a big fan of Dark Knight Rises. I don't know why. They just didn't hit me the same as Batman Begins, which is also probably the best origin. I would say the best origin story we've seen out of a superhero movie, where they do such a great job explaining how he became Batman. I love how they did that, and how even the flashbacks, the way they did that. And Christian Bale's so good. Great Batman. Great casting overall. Cillian Murphy, first time I've ever seen him in a movie, and now he's an Oscar winner, playing Scarecrow, which is great. Liam Neeson's in here. He's great as a villain character. You have Morgan Freeman in here. And I'm forgetting the name of his butler, Michael Caine. Michael Caine's great. Man, great performances from everybody. And I just love how he gets trained into being a ninja and comes back and uses his wealth and he has a whole department where Morgan Freeman's Lucius, whatever, is developing, stuff for the army. And so he uses that and it kind of explains everything: why he wears a suit, why he wears a cape, his Batmobile, his Batman gadgets, all kind of gets explained through so wonderfully that makes all sense. Like, oh, this is why Batman's the way he is, and why he's so good at stealth mode, because he learned how to be a stealthy ninja, and how he's good at fighting and all that. Yeah, I just love how that's all been told. It's just a great Batman movie if you like Batman. I always forgot Gary Oldman's also in here, another Oscar winner. I think the villains are great, and how they use that, and the action scenes are really good. The performance, I think, are really good too. The whole Batman voice thing became iconic through it. Yeah, it's just a wonderfully told Batman movie. It's like a perfectly told Batman movie from beginning to end. I don't think they've ever done anything better. I don't know if they ever will. So yeah, number 38, Batman Begins. Number 37, I got Frozen. I told you I'd come back with a more Disney musicals, and this is another great one. And this is very divisive. I feel like I've known people in my friend groups or in YouTube movies that just absolutely hate this movie. They're like, "Oh, Frozen is so terrible," but I'm one that goes, "No, I think this is actually one of the best movies Disney's ever done." I think the problem is it was huge. It was the biggest. I think it broke the record for biggest box office movie for an animated movie, which was held by Lion King back in 93, whatever. So, or 94, whatever that was. So yeah, it did huge numbers, and also became, pop culture wise, just became so iconic, especially for little girls. Even my niece, I have a niece who, man, we watched Frozen all the time because my niece loved Frozen, and she barely could learn how to talk, and she was singing along with the songs. And it was so cute, because I'm like, gosh, you're just learning how to talk, and you know this. And she was like saying the lines from the movie. She watched it so many times. She was just a huge fan. And I remember when we had trick-or-treaters come to the door around that time on Halloween, almost all the girls were dressed like Elsa from Frozen. I mean, this thing was huge. Let It Go was huge on the radio. I mean, sometimes you have musicals, the song is huge in the movie, but you don't always, sometimes you will, but don't always become a big radio hit. And that was one where I think people hate it because Let It Go was everywhere. It got overplayed on the radio maybe. And just the praise for this movie was just overly done. I don't know. But I still think it's a really, really well-made movie. Again, very funny, great animation. I think story maybe is not the best. Maybe that's partly the problem. It's a little lacking there. But the music is maybe some of the best music I've ever heard in a Disney movie. I already said Moana was great. Like, this is even better, I think, musically, in a sense. Let It Go, I think, still great. Idina Menzel is so good. What a great singer. But there's so many good songs. The one of the first songs, one of my, or where she's going around the castle. They're getting ready to put on this ball. That is such a great song. Now I'm forgetting the name of the song. For the first time or something. For the first time, bum bum bum. So good. Do you want to build a snowman? Oh my gosh, so catchy. Every Christmas now, when I see snow, I think of that. Do you want to build a snowman? It's like so simple but so great. Even like Love is an Open Door is a really good duet. Olaf's song about summer is very funny. Yeah, musically, it's so good. And I have to talk about Olaf. Olaf, one of my favorite Disney characters. So funny, this snowman that comes alive, and yet just looks like he just looks at everything with wonderment and doesn't understand everything, and he's just almost childlike. And the fact he doesn't understand that summer would kill him, but he always wants to be in summer. Stuff like that is so good. So man, again, great characters, great music, great animation. It's still a movie that I watch so many times and still get a kick out of. So I don't care about the haters. It's still a good movie, Frozen, at 37. At number 36, I have The Kingdom. This is, I don't know if people remember this movie as much, but this was a really good kind of political action thriller movie, dealing with a fake terrorist attack, not based on true story, but a terrorist attack that happens. I don't know if it was Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever. And these FBI agents that go to investigate it, even though they're not sanctioned by the U.S., they go over to investigate this bombing because it was done on American kind of base or whatever, and killed a lot of Americans, including an FBI agent. And so they go investigate this whole terrorist attack and try to find the terrorists who were responsible for this bombing. First off, great cast. Jamie Foxx as the lead is so good. He's just coming out, I think, might be just coming off his Oscar win at this time from Ray, so he was on top of his game as an actor. I'm not gonna remember all the names. Jason Bateman's in here. He's funny, but it's still really great. Now I'm forgetting her name. Jennifer. I know her first name's Jennifer, and she used to be married to Ben Affleck. She was great here. And then another actor I really like, I'm forgetting his name, Chris something. But anyways, the four main characters are so good. And as they're investigating, the investigation is really interesting, how they keep getting clues and figuring things out and kind of seeing where it's pointing to. Also dealing with the government, they're having a hard time with that as well. And even their fellow kind of, policeman that's helping them, that's, from the country, their relationship starts to get better. At first it's tension, but then they learn to kind of accept each other from different cultures, all that kind of stuff. But then the action is very good. It's very thrilling at times. Again, where you're like, what's going to happen next? On the edge of your seat, like really good stuff. Performances are great, and just a really well told story and really well shot too. And yeah, surprisingly very funny at times, even though it's kind of a serious subject matter. Again, there's a couple laughs that kind of surprise you a little bit, but I love that. And what really pulls us over top is the last 20 minutes of the movie. It's just nonstop action where they have to go into this building because Jason Bateman's character gets kidnapped, and so they have to rush into this building to save him before he gets beheaded. Because the terrorists are going to behead him on camera like they like to do. And they're going through this building and going through rooms, getting shot at, and having to clear these rooms. One of the best action sequences I've ever seen in a movie. And it's not like a big action, movie like a superhero movie or something like that. But man, the action is so good and so realistic looking the way they do it. And you're on the edge of your seat, like oh my god, a terrorist can pop out of any corner and shoot them. And so it's you're kind of scared for their life, even though they're the main characters. There's even a fight scene that's really tense, and it's just so well done, well shot, and a really good ending to the movie. And yeah, This is just, I would say, an underrated movie because I don't know if enough people have seen this movie or talk about it. Man, it is such a great movie that people need to check out. The Kingdom here at number 36. All right, now we're going to number 35 with Talladega Nights. I think the full title is like Talladega Nights, the something of Ricky Bobby. Now I'm forgetting it's not The Legend. I think that's the other movie. But another great, one of the best comedies I've ever seen in my life. One of my all-time favorite comedies. That's why it's this high. I'm a big fan of Will Ferrell comedies. I have a lot of them probably on my list. A lot from that era. And they're just knocking it out of the park. Him and Adam McKay, they would write these movies. Adam McKay would direct it. And Will Ferrell would star in it. And man, he did like Anchorman, did this movie, The Other Guys, Step Brothers. They were on a real roll with these movies at the time, but they parted ways since, unfortunately. But these are some of the best comedies ever made that they did together. And this is another one where they take something simple like a NASCAR driver and create something very funny in, you know, the NASCAR world with these characters. And yeah, Will Ferrell, again, so great as Ricky Bobby. He takes this kind of, you know, Southern character and they overdo it with all the NASCAR and the southernness of it, whatever, you know, and the way he talks and him and John C. Reilly. I mean, what great chemistry between those two. The shake and bake stuff is hilarious. John C. Reilly's so good in here as well. Jane Lynch is great. I mean, everybody's so good here. Amy Adams again shows up. Great stuff, you know, with him struggling through the NASCAR world, going through injuries and then trying to make a comeback. And it's hard to describe it, except say it's just one hilarious scene after another. I love when he's in rehab and, you know, there's so many great improv scenes of them trying to tell him that he's not paralyzed. And he sticks a knife in his leg and he realizes he's not paralyzed because he can feel it. And then them trying to figure out how to take the knife out is one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. And it obviously was just improvised. I think they were coming up with different bits and ideas on how to do it. It's such a little thing, but it's just really makes that movie, I think. And a lot of great side characters. There's too many to go through, but so many great characters, character actors in all this that are part of the crew. I think David Koechner's here, Jack McBrayer. I mean, so many funny people. And yeah, it actually has a pretty good story of, him and his father comes back to help him get back into the racing world because he's got problems psychologically. And of course, his dad's never there for them through his whole father-son thing, which doesn't exactly work out in the normal way a story like that would go. But there's a really great kind of character arc for Ricky Bobby, as he's a jerk at the beginning, but at the end he actually becomes a very nice guy and realizes his faults and all this, and he wasn't treating his friend right and all this. Anyways, so actually really good character depth for a silly comedy like this in some senses. But yeah, so many great stuff here. Like I said, just, I don't know what to do with my hands as his hands go up, and praying to baby Jesus at the table and calling his sons Texas Ranger Walker and Texas Ranger, his two sons. I mean, just so many hilarious stuff after hilarity. Love it. Watch it so many times. Never get tired of it. Talladega Nights here, 35. Number 34, we got The Incredibles, another great Pixar movie. So many great Pixar movies. Obviously, Pixar was really trying to... They started in the mid-90s with Toy Story, but 2000s, they were just every, like I said, I always said Finding Nemo, and then this came out after, I think, Finding Nemo, and it's like every movie is just a blockbuster, and some of the best animation movies we've ever seen at that time. Yeah, Incredibles, a really cool idea of like taking the superhero genre in animation form, and it's really a good story. I love the villain, how the villain kind of, origin of the villain is really good, and really good villain overall. The action scenes are so good. I mean, for an animation movie, again, they do such an amazing job with the action sequences. And I love the main character. I love just the idea of like these superheroes, they're getting old. They can't be used anymore, so they have to pretend like to be regular people and have daytime jobs. And him just going back into the superhero world, whole premise is really great, I think, in that sense. And it's very funny. I think the line that, oh, the was it Frozone? Just the whole line of, "Where's my super suit?" And you're not going anywhere. We got, we're going to my parents or something like that, and or something. And he's like, um, "Look, this is for the greater good." And then his wife's like, "There's no greater good than me," or something like that. And he's just like, "Oh my God!" Like, he tried to save the world, and his wife's getting in trouble. I mean, it's just so many funny stuff like that. Love Frozone, such a great character in here as well. But yeah, and even the story between the wife thinks the husband's cheating on him, but he really loves her, and the whole story actually really well done. And the kids, coming into their own as being superheroes, and of course the whole scene with the trying on the suit, and the suit maker and all that. I forget her name, Edna, I think her name is, or whatever. And designing these suits is so great. And that action sequence is so good when they have to fight that big robot. Just the creativity there's amazing, animation, everything. It's just a really wonderfully told story. It's a really good superhero movie. Great story writing. Like, we don't get great storytelling anymore like this. But yeah, Incredibles here at 34 on my list. All right, in 33, we got one of my favorite comedies, Best in Show. One of the best mockumentaries ever made. This is a Christopher Guest, Eugene Levy written movie with Christopher Guest directing it. And it's all a fake documentary about these dog owners who take them to the dog show, and whatever that show's called, where they prance around the dogs and they decide who is the best dog or whatever. What a interesting premise and a very funny premise. Great characters overall, great cast. I mean, Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy are so funny. They definitely take the movie. Their characters are so good, as they always are in these type of mockumentary movies. There's just I can't go into all. There's just so many funny things between those two characters. What's his name? Now I'm forgetting his name, but he does announcing at the end. Some of the funniest announcing I've ever seen in a movie, where he keeps coming up with silly ideas as they're doing the dog show, and he's like one of the announcers, whatever, that comments on what's going on. Really funny stuff there. But everything, Christopher Guest is funny as well. Jane Lynch is here. I'm not gonna remember. Parker Posey is. There's so many funny actors and actresses here, and it's just improvisation again. I love good improvisation, and this just felt like some of the best improvisation I've ever seen in a movie, where obviously they have a script and an idea of the characters and kind of the storytelling. And I love it because they're talking to the camera, like there's a camera there, they're talking, and it feels like they're real people and it's a real thing that's happening, it's not. But the improvisation is so good. They capture these funny moments just by letting the characters go and coming up with these funny ideas, and you can tell in situations anyways. And yeah, it's just some of the funniest people doing their best to be funny. And again, I don't feel like you get movies like this anymore that are this funny and such an interesting idea. I just love every character and their journey through this whole story, and how you just watch them travel to this dog show, and then you get the dog show, and then you get kind of an aftermath of what happens to them after the dog show. Yeah, I just love the whole storytelling of that. Like, they're real characters, and you're pretending like they're real characters, even though they're not. And they all get to shine in their moments anyways. But yeah, absolutely hilarious movie. Best in Show here at 33. 32, I got Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. Yeah, the very first of the Lord of the Rings movies. Really kind of, I think, changed somewhat cinema in a sense that we had never seen fantasy done like this before. And Lord of the Rings was such a really hard book to adapt, I think, into a movie. And they figured out how to do it in, 3 long movies, but pretty much cover as best they can. They couldn't cover everything, but they covered enough to get the basic story out. And it's great storytelling overall. It's probably the best fantasy franchise of all time, trilogy, all that. What can you say? I mean, the special effects are amazing. The motion capturing, the CGI, the art direction is some of probably the best art direction I've ever seen in the movie. The different sets they had to build. the makeup, the costuming, and I'll repeat myself again when I talk about Return of the King, but it's just, we never seen anything like this before, and it was just kind of groundbreaking at the time. I will say my problem with this first movie is that it's a very slow moving until about halfway through, when we finally get Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn, Boromir, whatever. When we get all these characters and we get the actual Fellowship traveling with the ring, that second half of the movie is so good. The action sequences are amazing. Really good performances overall. Like I said, it's just fantasy story at its best. Starting with this movie, and then it gets even better with the third movie. But yeah, I had to get this in here at 32. 31, we have Elf, one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies, and generally one of the best comedies ever. Again, I'm a big Will Ferrell fan, as I said. He's made so many great ones. This felt like really his first kind of breakthrough movie where he was the lead. Like, he never really led a movie, kind of had to carry a movie. And I think we all knew he could, because we knew he was funny after Saturday Night Live, and he did Old School and stuff like that. But this, to me, really solidified him as one of the greatest comedic actors of all time. Pulling off such an interesting character that could have gone very silly and very wrong in senses, playing this human being who thinks he's an elf, wearing this silly elf outfit. But man, is it funny. Will Ferrell he just knows how to do anything funny. Like, he can yell and be funny, he can whisper and be funny. And just the characters are great because, again, it's very naive. He doesn't understand the world, and he doesn't understand, bad people, I guess. He's too trusting and all this, and just realizing, he doesn't know anything about, people being bad and all this. And, so good. And him, again, thinking everything is truthful, like, the coffee shop says best coffee in the world, and he goes in and says, congratulations. It's just absolutely hilarious stuff like that throughout. Just a good Christmas story overall, too. I think the overall story is very silly and it's kind of stupid at times, but I don't care. It's just so funny anyways, and a just Christmas classic. I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was pretty good, but then every Christmas I watch it and I go, wow, this movie's so good. It's one of the best Christmas movies, and I look forward to it every Christmas. And again, probably one of Will Ferrell's best performances comedically, I think, creating this character, and with Buddy the Elf and what he does with it. Zooey Deschanel, first time I seen her in a movie, I thought she was very good here, as well as the love interest. And Jon Favreau, really the first really huge movie that he did, that really solidified him as a bankable director. And he's been doing so many huge movies since then. But this is a really huge one for Jon Favreau as well, anyways. And almost an homage to the old Christmas classics of the stop animation. They do some of that here as well. So I feel like, in a sense, it was an homage to the old Christmas classics as well. And I have to mention Peter Dinklage, probably the funniest scene in the whole movie. It's him as a little person and Buddy the Elf call him an elf, and him getting mad, and such a funny scene. Anyways, but yeah, that's Elf at 31. Number 30, I have Frequency. This is maybe a movie people don't remember as much or don't know, and I've always really loved this movie. Again, it's another sci-fi kind of movie with Jim Caviezel at the lead. This was Jim Caviezel wasn't a really famous actor. He was kind of well known for maybe some stuff, but I don't think he was such a household name. And I don't know if he still is today. He might be known best for being Jesus in Passion of the Christ. I don't know. But he's a really good actor. I thought he gave a great performance here. And it's such a great premise. I love the premise. I love the storytelling. It's another kind of not action, but thriller movie where he finds a radio that his dad used to have, and there's like some thunderstorm that happens, and somehow it magically makes it so that he can talk to his dad from the past who is dead in the future. And so he's having conversations with his dad who's now dead, but he's having a conversation with him, and it's back when he was a kid, and talking, I don't know if that makes sense, but he's talking to his dad, and when they figure out that they're talking to each other, and then he tries to, help him so that he doesn't die in this fire, because he's a fireman, his dad is. But then it comes there's a serial killer that, because it's one of those things where he changes the past and it makes the future worse, and he has to figure out how to fix the future now, because doing this one simple thing by saving his dad from a fire causes this terrible thing where the serial killer kind of gets loose and kills more people. And so now he's using his dad he's using evidence from the future to help his dad in the past try to figure out who this serial killer is before he kills more people. It's such a great premise. I love the sci-fi element of it. Even again, father-son relationship, great father and son stuff here. Great storytelling. Like I said, the tense scenes are so tense, and you're just not knowing what's going to happen next. You're throughout the movie like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? Are they going to be able to catch him? Is he going to kill somebody again? Their lives are in danger. I mean, it's really wonderfully told, and the ending is so good. And even, again, I'm going to spoil it, but there is a happy ending to it. I love that idea of being able to change the past and create a happy ending for yourself. It's so good as well. But yeah, if you haven't seen Frequency, man, check out Frequency. Such a great sci-fi kind of thriller. All right, number 29, I have A Mighty Wind, which is a sequel to, not a sequel, but it's the next movie after Best in Show. Best in Show was such a huge hit. They also did Waiting for Guffman, which was the first movie, which isn't on my list, and it's a decent comedy as well. But I think, to me, Best in Show and Almighty Wind are the two best that they did. They did like four, well, they did Spinal Tap, of course, back in the day in the 80s, but Christopher Guest, Eugene Levy, like movies that they did 4 of them where they wrote them and Christopher Guest directed them, and it's hard for me to say which one's better. I'm putting Almighty Wind slightly above it because I love the music so much in Almighty Wind. It's kind of a similar idea of, it's a mockumentary, it's a fake world that we're creating. This one deals with folk singers, where all these, not real folk singers in real life, but these fake ones that they've created for this movie, all come together to do a concert for a producer who died. Anyway, so they bring in these 3 different groups, or whatever you want to call them, folk groups together. And so you see that these folk groups are coming together, rehearsing for this concert. And you see that some of the relationships are, have changed over time because it's been a while since they played together. But the music is so good because the actors and actresses are really singing the songs. They're really playing the instruments, and they wrote a lot of the songs themselves too. The one great song, Kiss at the End of the Rainbow, is kind of the big one that got nominated for an Oscar. Man, what a beautiful song and great storytelling. Again, Eugene Levy, Catherine Hare, just like Best in Show, totally steal the show. Those 2 characters are so good in their story and their music, as Mick and Mickey, whatever. Their whole story, their love relationship, how he wrote all these great love songs when they were together, but then they broke up, and then he went into depression, and then now they're back together they're not together relationship wise, but trying to do, with all this baggage, the emotional baggage they have to do this love song. And oh my gosh, the storytelling is so good, and the moment where they have to do that song, the song is amazing. It's an emotional moment that really pays off the whole story in such an amazing way. It's one of the best moments, I think, in any movie I've ever seen. Like, it's up there as one of my favorite all-time moments, where when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, that was told so well. The payoff was so good. Oh my gosh. Love these characters. Again, absolutely hilarious, great improvisation. But yeah, I just love all the music that they created. It felt like real 60s folk songs that they all created naturally or organically. That I think I even have the soundtrack on CD. I've listened to it many times. It's a great soundtrack. Anyway, so yeah, I think I would almost say Best in Show is maybe funnier than A Mighty Wind, but A Mighty Wind, I think, has such good storytelling. That's why I put A Mighty Wind, and the music is so good. So those 2 elements make A Mighty Wind just slightly above Best in Show for me. Both are, you gotta watch both. If you haven't seen Best in Show or Mighty Wind, I say go see these movies. Such great comedies and such a great concept, the mockumentary concept. Anyway, so yeah. At 28, I have Deadpool. Wow, now we've had 3 Deadpool movies, and I hope they make more, because this has definitely been one of my favorite superhero, kind of fairly newer superheroes. Not one I grew up with at all. Didn't know this superhero existed. And he came out in Wolverine Origins and Ron Reynolds as Deadpool, but wasn't that interesting of a character. And then when they finally made this movie, Ron Reynolds finally got the backing or whatever to make this movie. And boy, did it pay off for that character. And for Ron Reynolds, I think it's his biggest movie franchise he's ever done. This is such a great combination of action and comedy. Maybe the best I've seen. I love a good action comedy, and this is probably the funniest superhero movie I've ever seen. I would say the laughs, the jokes per second is so good. I mean, there's so many jokes that are happening all the time, just wonderfully written in that way. But the action scenes are really good. Like the first action sequence is the best scene in the whole movie, where he has to take all these bad guys out on the highway, and he only has so many bullets, so he has to conserve his bullets, and how they do that whole scene. Oh, it's so fun, and just really well done as well. And then even as you see his backstory, and even the love relationship is really good. There's actually some good serious moments in there. Great performance, I think, by Ron Reynolds overall. But then him coming back and how he became Deadpool, and he has to wear a mask because he's all burnt up. And then him going on his quest to find the guy who did it to him, it's so good. And then the last action sequence is amazing. It's just the perfect combination of comedy and action I've ever seen in a movie. And that's why I love going back to this movie over and over again. I still think it's my favorite, even better than Deadpool and Wolverine, which I think is really good and has a similar thing. And Deadpool 2, definitely the weakest, I think, of the three. I don't like that nearly as much as the other two, but yeah, Deadpool, it broke the record, I think, for best rated R movie at the time. And I'm sure it's been breaking since, but at the time, that was a huge moneymaker. Of course, that's why we have three of them. And I hope they keep making Deadpool movies, because they're knocking them out of the park. The funniest stuff put out today. There's not great comedies, but Deadpool is maybe the funniest. It's a superhero movie, but it's maybe the funniest franchise we've seen in a while. But yeah, love Deadpool. Number 27, we got another superhero movie. I love superhero movies, of course, so you're going to see a lot of them on the list. I have Captain America Winter Soldier here at 27. And this was really a game changer, I thought, in the MCU. Avengers was a game changer for sure, because that was something that's never been done before. And it was like, whoa, we're bringing all these superheroes from different franchises and working together. Like, I didn't know that was possible. But this came right after that, and this changed, I thought, the quality of the action in these movies. Got really good after this, with Winter Soldier and like Civil War, and then of course Infinity War, Endgame, and that's thanks to the same directors. I think what they call the Jasso brothers, whatever, who did this Captain America, and they did the last two Avengers movies, and they're doing Doomsday, I think, this year as well. This was such a great action sequence, and it made Captain America one of the best, most fun superheroes to watch. Even the very beginning, when he first gets on a boat and he has a fight scene, I'm like, wow, the fight choreography really jumped up a level that I've never seen before in these superhero movies. Like, this was really good stuff. And then one of the best action sequences I've ever seen in the movie is when he's fighting Winter Soldier at the overpass. Like, man, that was so wonderfully shot, choreographed. Like, that was action, some of the best action I've seen up to that point. And that's what keeps me coming back to this movie, is the action sequences are so well done. But also the story. Winter Soldier, what a great kind of villainous, it's a semi-villainous character. Really, really cool character, I think. Really formidable opponent to Captain America. And then there's a spoiler, I'm not going to say that. The reveal of all that is also very interesting. And some good emotional moments also that happen towards the end of the movie, along with the great action in it. And a lot of fun. I think Scarlett Johansson is also very good as Black Widow, and I love their scenes together. Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans. And you got so many great scenes, like the elevator fight scene is great as well. Just some of the most memorable moments we've seen in the MCU. I saw this twice in the theater. The first time I saw it, I was like blown away by how good it was. Like, man, this is one of the best movies we've seen out of the MCU already, and still to this day, one of my favorite of the MCU. I think done so wonderfully made, and made Chris Evans, I think, a superstar. And if I know he was already, but he definitely made him one of the biggest stars in Hollywood at this point. And Captain America, one of the most bankable superheroes, I think, because of this movie. It was so well done anyway. So yeah, that's why I got Captain America Winter Soldier here at 27. And the last movie I'm going to talk about on this list, number 26, I got Bullet Train. Yeah, Bullet Train. Man, that really surprised me. I wasn't expecting anything out of this movie. And I heard some good buzz. And then I saw it, and I watched it not too long ago, in fact, with audio commentary, I think, because I got it on Steelbook now. And it's another, I'm going to say again, the combination of action and comedy is so good in this movie. I was not expecting that. Brad Pitt is so good as the lead, as this laid back kind of working, I don't want to say assassin, but he works for this organization where he has to pick up things, or maybe he has to kill somebody or something. And he's trying to be very zen and like, I just want to go meditate, and rethink my life and all this. But then he gets stuck on this bullet train, trying to get this briefcase, and there's all these people trying to get it. There's so many good things to say about this movie. It's great storytelling, by the way. Stuff that happens at the beginning gets paid off at the end, I think. The last action sequence on the train is so good, and how the villain comes into the story and how you find out the connections between characters and the villain. And so in the backstory that happens there is wonderfully told. And then just like, you're like, oh man, what's going to happen next? How are they going to get the villain? And how that all turns out is so satisfying. It's very funny though. The movie is absolutely hilarious. And yeah, the action sequences are amazing, but I do love the two characters. I forget their names, but it's like something in Lemon is the name of the characters. Tangerine, I think. Tangerine and Lemon, that's like their made up like assassin names. And they're British, and their conversations are so funny because they just go on these tangent conversations that have nothing to do with anything. But they're hilarious. I love those kind of things when they happen in a movie, when people just have conversations out of nowhere that has nothing to do with the story, but are just simply funny on their own. And you just go, okay, that was kind of a funny little bit they did. And then they get back to the story. Those two, the way they interact, it was so good. And there's so many good stuff, like flashback scenes are really good in the movie. There's even this scene where you see this water bottle throughout the movie. And towards the end of the movie, you see this montage of how the water bottle gets from point A to point B throughout the movie, how it switches hands to different people, rolls around the train, and then it gets to this moment where it plays a big part of the movie. Like, that's just brilliant writing to me, I guess. To go, oh wow, the water bottle had such a big moment in that journey of the water bottle. Like, I never thought that I'd see a big journey out of the water bottle. And it was really well done. But yeah, the ending is so great. Very satisfying. And there's actually some good dramatic moments throughout the movie as well. But mostly it's like John Wick, but funnier, I guess, in a sense. And yeah, I've watched this a couple times, and I'm just so amazed because it has, I don't know, there's some deep meaning behind, fate, and like, does fate exist, and you're put here at this moment for this reason, and all this. There's some really good deep thinking in this movie, deep writing for a kind of a movie that's sometimes kind of silly and all that. And great cast of characters overall, but I could go on and on. I think Bullet Train is one. It's a fairly recent movie within the last 5 years, but it's definitely just keeps jumping up some of my favorite movies of all time, and all the way to number 26 on my list of Bullet Train. So that's my 50 through 26. Thank you to anybody watching this. I know those videos are long, but it's hard to get through 25 movies. That's a lot of movies to talk about, and so it takes over an hour to get to them. And so yeah, I appreciate anybody watching these videos because they take a long time to make and to edit and all that, and I really appreciate it. And please feel free to comment on any of the movies I talked about on this list, what your favorites or what have you heard and all that on this list. Really appreciate you guys commenting. Besides that, thank you for that. Thank you for liking the video, and just thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I'm past 400 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel and watching my videos, and I'll be keeping making them. I really enjoy talking about movies and music. So besides that, I hope you have a good rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later.